In the year 2020, he helped write a new chapter in the National Science and Maths Quiz history, leading Presbyterian Boys Senior High School to a triumphant sixth title. But Benjamin Nketsiah did not stop there. Today, he is trading quiz bases for microscopes as he journeys into the cutting edge of cancer biology and neuroscience. From the heat of the national competition to the frontiers of medical research, Benjamin is now on a mission, one that could transform lives through groundbreaking therapies and scientific discoveries.
Hi everyone, my name is Benjamin Nketsiah. I'm currently a biochemistry and molecular biology student at Michigan State University. I have a deep curiosity about how life works, especially at the molecular level, and that's what led me into my current research areas right now. So my interests are centered around cancer biology and neuroscience. I'm especially passionate and interested in learning how molecular changes can drive diseases and how we can use that knowledge to better inform our treatment therapy.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode on Edu Spotlight, and today we have with us another, important personality. Most of you know him. For those who are very familiar with the National Science and Maths Quiz, you may be familiar with Benjamin. For an opportunity to answer, you may ring your bell. Now, may I hear your bell precisely gone?
Oh Lord.
It was in 2020 that you represented Persecugon in the Science and Maths Quiz. And I know, during this time, it was COVID. How was the experience like?
So I would say personally, we had been prepped up for the COVID season. Originally, when the lockdown restriction was lifted, we immediately went back to school in that preparation period for the quiz. So we were kind of used to doing a quiz in a nose mask. I remember at a point in time we even had to use face shields because we didn't know what regulation prime time would have. But then getting close to the quiz time, I think the COVID haze had gone down considerably much. So I didn't really feel much of the COVID intensity when I went to the stage. But I'm sure for the people watching, they felt a difference between 2019 and 2020 because it was pre-COVID and COVID time. So they felt a difference. But the contestants, at least in my experience, I didn't really feel much of a strong COVID presence. If you ask me to mention any adjective that comes into my mind from 2020 NSMQ, I don't think I would mention COVID. Yeah,
Okay.
but definitely did play a role, especially with talking in the mask. You'd have to project louder, and people can't really see your face. I don't know. So it was kind of different, but I would say I didn't really feel the heat of COVID in NSMQ as much as I did in other areas of my life. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting because like a lot of things going on. And personally, I was thinking, I was like, wow, this is like a show of grit and determination because even in the midst of COVID, whilst people were trying to, distance and a little bit cautious about their movement, there are students whose passion for science is driving them to come into this competition and give us a fantastic show. And it was great. I mean, you met several schools, pulling down schools. Would you say is that nostalgic moment about 2020 Science and Maths Quiz?
So I think it will be the final contest. My favorite contest was actually the semi-final, but like there were moments in the final contest that bring me the strongest nostalgic moments. And I think it was in the round one, there was a math question about limits, and we had our question right, and we had a bonus right of both schools. So it was like one of the things that set the contest in a forward direction. Because when you do that, you are 5 points ahead of the other two schools. Like there's an additional 5 points difference. And during the speed race, we answered three speed race questions in a row, which was kind of like, I think it was three in a row, yeah. And it was very like, you wouldn't expect to do that in a final, actually. Like in all of our training, we're thinking like probably the final, you just be leading with 1 or 2 points. But at the end of round two, we're significantly ahead. And I think that was the highlight of my career life.
Lovely. Like NSMQ is a big stage. And when you
Yeah.
get in there, it's more competitive. And I also understand that, there are some skills that you build during the NSMQ that you are able to transfer those skills into other aspects of life. Teamwork
Yeah.
is one big thing. And when I looked at you and Daniel, I could see that play out quick, really, really great. And I recount one of Daniel's interview. I think it was on NSMQ Live or something, and he was like, there was this particular school that you guys were going in against, and he ran into the one of the contestants, and he was like, "Good luck." And the guy didn't even look at him, you know. And later, after the contest, I think they lost the contest. And later, Daniel was like, "Well, maybe he needed a good luck." Well,
Typical.
is it something that you also like run into? Maybe like people you are contesting against would not give you face, or they were like, wait, it's no smile until we are done.
Okay, I personally didn't have that kind of
Mhm.
stark uh,
Yeah.
harsh interactions. But the feedback from Daniel is very typical of him. Daniel is someone who can say something like that. Yeah. But then I didn't really have, I think it's because I didn't really interact much with people I didn't know. I knew some of the contestants before I went, and they were the ones I spoke to, someone like
Mm,
in Bebo. So
okay.
the people that I spoke to were, it was after the quiz was completely over. That's when
Okay.
I made new friends. But I didn't really like meet new people during the time of the quiz because I think our exposure time was very minimal. We were mostly in the room prepping, doing drills. Yeah. So I didn't really encounter many new people, many new faces. But there was definitely heat
Mm-hmm.
going into the contest. So one of the things that I did was I used not to go on social media. I stopped going
Okay.
on social media because
Okay.
sometimes the comments outside there are very toxic, and
Mm,
you don't want to have expectations of people weighing you down before you go into the contest.
mm,
Because whether or not 10 people are watching you or 100 people are watching you, what's in your brain doesn't really change.
mm,
So it's better not to feed into yourself comments before you go onto the stage because
mm,
what would they do? It will just weigh you down.
mm-hmm,
So you try and minimize your circle as possible and get only positive energy from your trainers, from your friends, from your family. I think that's it. It should be limited to that and not what is so and so content creator saying on Instagram. What it's not
mm.
necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great point that you raise, because there's
Mm.
there's this whole, I would say it's a whole platform that people over like memes, trolls, Java, like after every NSMQ I have a different set of memes.
Yeah.
So it's something that oftentimes maybe it's overlooked, but just as you said, it has a mental effect. Students also have to take their responsibility, just as you did, not even going on social media in the first place, to prevent
Yeah.
themselves from being weighed down by some of these things. Great. I'm loving this conversation already. Now, as what electricity oftentimes does, we try to assess people who are contributing to society in their own ways, challenges that they go through, as well as their encouragement or words of motivation to other young people out there. So I want to start for you specifically, Benjamin. What would you say is that thing that you are most passionate about? Like you wake up every single morning and it comes to mind as far as the SGDs is concerned.
Mm. I think so for my career path, I think
Mhm.
healthcare would be my passion. Obviously, that's not the thing I'm most passionate about because the things that I'm most passionate about are more on the philosophical and religious side of things. But for
Mm,
my career path, I think I'm more interested in healthcare because it's one of the ways to impact society.
mm,
There is no single person that hasn't had a problem with their health since they got born into the world. And so healthcare is an essential part of society. If you look at it on any level of analysis, healthcare affects economy, healthcare affects politics, right? People vote A or B just based on health. And so um health affects wealth, wealth affects health, kind
mm,
of like that. Yeah. So it's everything is kind of bound to well-being. And people don't look at it like this, but I think every major drive that people have can be summarized into fitness. Like
mm,
how strong can we go, how strong can we become, and how much can we pass on our genes into our species? That's what
mhm,
people do. And if you look at the normal, natural, biological life, it's geared towards fitness. So healthcare needs to be something that people pay attention to, and that's what my life dream is about. I have a strong passion for science, and I think combining I think to be a doctor, you don't just need a head full of knowledge, you need a heart full of love, right? You're supposed to use the power to produce equitable solutions for people, things that are practical for people. Because power without love is useless, right? Because if you have the power and you don't channel it, you can't really do anything. So you need to have both to be a successful doctor. Originally, like my strength in science, I'm more strong in the theoretical side, math and physics.
Okay.
But I feel like I can still use that in some sense in my health field, even though I'm strong in biology, but not as strong as I am in math and physics, right? Yeah, but then my life's path seems that it seems as though I would use more of the biological parts rather than the math parts, but I'm still ready to take that risk because I think that's what I would be comfortable doing forever for a long time. I don't think I'll be comfortable doing just math forever. So I'm ready to take that risk. Yeah.
Sounds good. You know, when you mentioned that everything that we do in one way or the other relates to health, I got into a discussion with a doctor friend of mine, and she made a very profound statement that even that there is nothing like a complete state of, well-being. Like every
Mm.
person, like when you look at health, there is no one that we can say that, oh, okay, like you've achieved like the ultimate or the greatest point of health, like you are healthy completely, because it could be either mental, physical, like emotion, like you cannot achieve that goal. So everyone is always trying every now and then to make sure that their health is good. And it could be, hitting the gym, eating well, these healthy habits that people put in place every now and then. I also want to know, it starts with a passion, and the passion would also want to translate into things that really solve real life problems. So we are
Yeah.
curious to know, as you mentioned, the good health and well-being, SGD being your main, passion. How have you, in your own way, channeled this passion into problem solving?
I think that's a very good question. So when I came to the United States after my NSMQ, I
Mhm.
came to Michigan State University and I got involved in research from the get-go. And this might I might be going ahead of myself, but this is what I would advise other people to do that if you are a pre-med student, get
Mhm.
involved in research as early as possible
Okay.
because research kind of opens the door to every other thing in your medical school experience, especially the prereqs you need to get into med school. So I
Mhm.
started with research. I started in a research lab, and because of that, I could get an internship in the corporate world in the summer of my
Mm.
first year. So one of the doctors in my church gave me a role to play. I was a research assistant at Henry Ford. And so as I was working in Henry Ford, I was in close knit to patients' data, right?
Mhm.
That's when I learned most of my techniques like DNA extraction, DNA quantification,
Mhm.
how to manage patient data. So basically, the idea here is that one opportunity is actually an opportunity to another opportunity. And
Mhm.
research seems to be like that master key that sets every other thing in place. So get involved in research. So that's what I did. I got involved in research first, and I've learned a lot that has built me and made me strong, and it is opening doors for me in other areas too. So I
Mm.
think first of all, research was what I started doing, and I'm working more too with volunteering hours. I'm volunteering for a club what that tries to provide access and equity for people with disabilities
Mhm.
in school. So we do tutoring, we try and transcribe their textbooks for them. We literally help people with disabilities. So those are the actionable steps I'm taking so far concerning my life's goal.
Wow, that's impressive. Like already you are into the society, because sometimes people are like, well, it is not enough, and I think this is a general statement. It is not enough to have the book knowledge, just as you said. You have to also have a heart full of love. And this is what is driving you to want to use the book knowledge together with your practical skills to get into society and solve problems. So
Mm.
I really appreciate, how you are, channeling all of this knowledge into problem solving. And I also understand that it is not always a smooth sailing when you are trying to, get yourself out there, extract DNA, get into community, interact with patients, help people with disabilities, and all of that. what are some of the things that you would say are the challenges that have come up over the years?
Okay, so I would say my challenges, some of them are based on like who I am as an international student. I don't think anybody's actively trying to keep me down. I wouldn't go as far to say that, but I'll just say because you're in a different land, sometimes in the application process, you get to a point and they'll say, you can't really go on with the application because you need sponsorship and things like that. So I think your opportunities are limited in some sense. Uh, and so that's one of the challenges. Aside that, to like countering the cost of tuition and living experiences at the same time, trying to work at your goals is kind of difficult because you need time to do what you love to do, right? But at the same time, too, you are kind of sacrificing it to survive, right? Because the bills are not going away. You need to take care of the bills, and so one of the things that came into my mind when I was talking about it was uh, he's a financial expert. His name is Vuzi Thembekwayo. He said, if your if your time is not enough to pursue your goals, then pursue a job that gives you money so that you can have time to pursue your goals. So I think that's what I'm doing right now. Right now, I think I'm kind of in survival mode, for lack of a better word. But the little time I get, I try to invest it in my dreams as well. It's not a very easy ride, but I think with determination and constant focus, the universe tends to go into more predictable outcomes than more unpredictable outcomes. If you learn about Gibbs free energy in physics, you'd see that more probable outcomes, the universe tends to go to more probable outcomes. So if you started life and you seem to be living in harsh conditions or in not the best conditions all the time, you are just at the lower probability side of things. And as time goes on, you find yourself in the more probable events where you'll be getting things done easily. So I think it's just times and seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, more like a roller coaster ride, right? It goes up a little bit, then it
Exactly.
comes down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a lot of things and how you need time to do other things. As you
Yeah.
are studying and you're doing research, when you want to, relax and have your downtime and freshen up, you know, cool down, what are some of the things you do when you are not studying? Because I'm looking at you now and you have your glasses on. I'm seeing, a science whiz. Yeah, many people
Yeah.
might be thinking, hey, Benjamin, he's all about studies. Let's say something to people who might be thinking, maybe Benjamin is all about studies. What do you do when
Mm.
you're not studying?
So it's funny enough because part of my non-school life is actually a scholarly life in some sense. So I'm it's just my fault. I'm interested in like philosophy, Christian theology, and apologetics. That's like my
Okay.
side hustle. And so I also study like Christian literature and religion as a whole. And apart from that, I play football. I play soccer. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
a die-hard Real Madrid
Okay.
fan. Cristiano Ronaldo is my goat. Argue with your cell phones. Argue with the video. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. The last time I played on MSU campus, I scored 5 goals. So
Wow.
I'm not
Which position do you play in the first place? Just in case some coaches are watching.
me, I'm versatile, I'm volatile, whatever word you want to put it. I play anywhere.
Wow.
But my strength, I play very well at defense. But
Defense.
every time I play forward, I get a goal in. So you
Wow.
can call me the Marcelo of football. Because
That's a blend of abilities. So for how long have you been doing that? Is it from childhood or only at
childhood,
one point?
childhood, like even in my JHS, like my and over here they call it middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the school's team, but then I got into a leadership role. I was a head prefect, and
Okay.
they have this kind of aura around the head prefect that you can't really be doing. I don't know.
Oh,
I did
wow.
it.
In beginning part of the conversation, we are talking about where people cannot achieve this complete state of health. Then again, there is also the need to, when you are going through, mental stress, it could be from job, school, or anything. There's that thing that has to come in the middle and smoothing things a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's, a good way of letting us know how you cool down. And also, I would want to know, going forward, what are your thoughts for an ideal world where young people who want to contribute to good health and well-being, what are some of the things that you would encourage? Like your word to upcoming young scientists.
Okay, upcoming young scientists. I think the best thing to focus on is to focus on that thing that gives you the spark,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you look at the world, what grieves you? What do you want to solve? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
solution do you want to solve? Because your passion will send you far more than something that you are just good at, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
what in the world do you see there's a problem with? And try as much as possible to provide solutions to that. Build your career around your passion. And every day when you go to work, you'll find meaning in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, too, I would say live with your conscience open because sometimes people do things and then they forget why they are doing it. It just becomes about money, it just becomes about provision, which is important. But if that's the ultimate goal of life, then I think we are all it's a little bit futile or it's a little substandard because the things we do for people are eternal. The things we get from gratification and monetary satisfaction are kind of temporal, right? Yeah, and because research showed that when people give out money, they feel more happy than when they take it. So even our bodies are showing a testimony of something that is true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of counterintuitive. So live life to provide things for people and make life better for people. And I think with that, money would follow, right? Money will follow you. You shouldn't necessarily just build your career on what's the best way to make money. Yeah.
Mm, That's philosophical. I'm not surprised you are more interested in that. You've been philosophizing all this while. That is great. Isaac Newton made a statement. He said that he's able to see so far because he stood on the shoulders of giants. And that is true. There is nothing new under the sun. Everything that everyone is trying to do, someone may have done it. You only
Mm,
have to look for it, then stand on that to project into the
right,
future.
right.
That's powerful. When I was on LinkedIn, I think last 2 weeks or yeah, last 2 weeks somewhere, I was going about my usual thing of highlighting students who are contributing to SGDs, and I saw that you had won an award in your school, Michigan State University.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
But yeah,
Uh-huh.
so there were two. One was a research presentation at it's called URAF. URAF
Mm-hmm.
is University Undergraduate Research and Arts Forum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's where you present any research you've been doing as a student. So I
Okay.
presented two of my researches. That was where I presented it at. But then the award came from this program called the Dean's Research Scholars.
Mm-hmm.
So every year they select 10 students in the College of Natural Science to represent the entire college
Mm-hmm.
on the research that is being done in the school. So what we do is that we go and meet alumni and donors, and we
Mm-hmm.
present the work that is being done in the school
Mm-hmm.
in a bid to get more funds. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like we are publicizing MSU's research
Mm.
so that donors would see that something good is happening and they would invest their resources into their school. So it's kind of like a prestigious organization to be a part of, and I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Wow. How did you feel when you made the list? How was
I
the
was
feeling
I was surprised. I was like, wow. Because I applied and we were a lot. Like I think it's 6,000 students in the school and then they are just taking 10. Yeah.
Wow. 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 And what would you say are some of the lessons that you have learned having had this award? Like reflecting on how you got it and everything. What are some of the key things that you've picked up from that experience?
I would say the first one might be resilience because I applied as a freshman and I didn't get in
Mm.
and I applied again as a sophomore. This
Mm-hmm.
time with more experience of the things I've been doing. So this
Mm-hmm.
comes back to the thing like if you start early, you get more experience to open doors for you.
Mm.
So I think when I applied with more experience, I was able to craft a better story that
Mm-hmm.
was more resonating with the interviewer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what helped me very much. And my personality shined through the interview. I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people just go on the interview and list stuff on their resume, but you're supposed to construct a story. It's not about how much you do, it's about the quality of the story that can be drawn from what you do. Say
Mm.
you did only like five things and the story you tell is very impactful.
Mm-hmm.
It's more resonating than somebody who did 15 things and looks like he's reading off a list.
Mm.
So I would say if you are doing just one thing, be the best at it. If you are doing a lot, construct a story out of it. Yeah.
Wow, you keep on mentioning the story. What would you say is, I just want to ask a follow-up on that because you're mentioning construct a story, tell it a compelling story, a 2-minute masterclass of storytelling. What is that thing, or maybe those things that in presenting your story, people have to keep in mind? I know this may not be a one-size-fits-all solution, but things that people can think about in telling their
Okay.
stories.
Especially in the research space or in the job application space,
Mm-hmm.
usually where you are going to
Mm-hmm.
has a problem,
Mm,
like, or they have a goal that they
mm,
are looking for. And usually, if you come and then it looks like this guy is just looking for a job,
mm-hmm.
it's like now they are having sympathy on you. But
Mm,
if you turn the cards on them and it's like, this is where the company wants to go, and this
mm-hmm.
is what I have to offer, it
Mm,
shows a second step. It shows that like you know what the company needs
mm-hmm.
and you are now an asset. Now they
Mm,
need to chase you, right?
mm,
So if you come with your story, like the story should be constructed such that this is my experience.
mm-hmm.
This is who I am as a person outside just academics. This is
Mm-hmm.
my experience. And this is where the company wants to go. Sometimes you don't need to directly say that this is where the company wants to go,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of an unspoken rule. They always know where they want to go. So
Yep.
if you present yourself in such a way that you are an invaluable asset, when they are looking for you, people look for what they need first before they look for what they want.
Mm, mm.
So when you are sure that you are getting the company what they need, they'll chase you back.
Wow. Wow. This is a very powerful, statement. When you are sure of what the company needs, they will chase you back. And that is how Benjamin tells us about creating the story. This was just a short master class, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, so you mentioned your research. We want to know how you plan to use your research to advance the Good Health and Wellbeing United Nations goal.
So right now in short-term goals, my major work is on breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So in the lab where I worked, we looked at a specific type of breast cancer. It's called triple negative breast cancer, and it's an
Mm-hmm.
aggressive subtype. And it affects people disproportionately based on, surprisingly, ancestry.
Mm,
We all know like cancer is genetic, but if you have a long trace of ancestry, which you see like repeating patterns, then there's something probably going on at the genetic level, right?
mm.
Because if you look at Ghanaians who have breast cancer, if you take all the patients, 70% of them have triple negative.
Okay.
Look at African Americans as well. They have the highest proportion of breast cancer, of triple negative breast cancer as compared to the Caucasians. So
Mm-hmm.
that should tell you that it's probably genetic because you have Africans and then you have African Americans who share common ancestry. So
Mm,
if something is happening here and something is happening there,
mm-hmm.
then there's something ringing a bell that it's probably genetic. So we're thinking that if it's genetic, we are looking at certain immune markers. And if we find those immune markers, we can potentially go into therapy. What can we
Mm-hmm.
do to solve this problem? Are we going to edit the gene? Are we going to provide a vaccine? What are we going to do? So
Mm.
that's where we're going now. We want to identify what is causing it and then how to probably mitigate against it. That's
Wow.
right now with breast cancer. So I did that one, and next semester, so I'll be working on another breast cancer project. That one will have to do with adipose tissue instead.
Mm.
So that's like my major project. But another project I did was on how's what do you call it? Nerve cells, how to
Mm-hmm.
make nerve cells grow faster. So
Mm-hmm.
we are looking at the mechanisms for that. And that has potential implications for people with Alzheimer's or neurodegenerative diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think my major life goal is on breast cancer. The research I did in the nerve cells is a very practical research. It's a very theoretical research. It's more in the biophysical realm, but
Mm-hmm.
the breast cancer is more translational. You deal with people and then you solve practical issues. Yeah.
Great, great, great. We are, going to monitor this constantly to see how this goes. And we are with you. Electricity is with you every now and then, Benjamin. We are
Thank you.
we are rooting for you on this particular journey that you are going. And we want a world where academic scholars will constantly, help to mitigate some of these challenges that you mentioned. And uh, hopefully we are able to solve some of these problems. So your final words, Benji, anything you want to say to people watching you? This may not necessarily be to young scientists, but generally, people watching you, anything that comes to mind?
Mine, I'll say, first thing is self-discovery, right?
Mhm.
And as you sit down and you look into the world, what do you think you have to offer to the world, right? Yeah, because people usually think of what can the world offer me.
Mm-hmm.
If you are always at the receiving end of things, life doesn't seem fair to you all the time because
Mm.
you're like, I deserve this, but nobody is giving it to me. It doesn't seem fair to you. And you end up in like a spiral of bitterness. But if you look at the world and say, what can I offer the world? What can I offer the world? The
Mm-hmm.
world is going to give you its resources to offer them your value. And so at that point, you have solved the resources problem and you have solved your self-actualization need as well. So you
Mm.
complete Maslow's theory of, what do you call it?
Needs.
Needs.
Yeah.
That your basic needs are met because resources are being provided for you to actualize your potential. That's
Great.
kind
Great. Now to the
of,
per seconds. Any word? Your people.
Order per seconds. My people, I think they are doing very well. Like
Mhm.
from 2020, I think from 2019, we've been to the finals. Um, how many years? 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23. 5 years in a row,
Mhm.
right? So it's a very good thing. I think they should continue and they should do very well, especially those into NSMQ,
Mhm.
because it provides you a great platform to do well for the school, one,
Mhm.
and secondly, to also discover yourself too. And most of the things you learn for NSMQ when you come to college, yeah, it's just a refresher for you.
Mm.
So it
Mm.
really helps. Aside that, whatever experience you get in school, take it to get the best out of it because it will
Okay.
really help you in the real world. Yeah.
Mm.
That's my advice to my pre-seconds. And please
Wow.
make sure you win this year's NSMQ, my boys.
Yeah, Benji is throwing you. So if they win, you have some surprise for them, right?
Yeah, I have some surprise for them.
Yeah.
I'll bring them here for dinner.
Wow. So guys, Benji has dared you. Do it and enjoy dinner with Benji in the United States. Thank you so much, Benjamin, for this time with us. It's been a wonderful episode
You're
on
welcome.
Electricity, Edu Spotlight as well. And it's wonderful hearing your experiences from your passion through how you've channeled your passion into problem solving through the challenges that may have come up through your words for upcoming young people who are looking to go into science and do research and all of that. We really appreciate your time. I know your schedules has been very hard getting you, but we really, really want to say we thank you. Yeah,
You're
electricity
welcome.
is with you. I'm sure you may have seen a couple of posts of electricity on LinkedIn. We are with you in case of anything. Kindly let us know.
All right.
Our arms are wide open. Yeah. So
Thank you.